For 3 years, Isabella Rossi and I had been husband and wife in name only, bound by a contract that felt colder than the Manhattan winters. The day I asked for a divorce, she gave me a curt nod, but I saw a flicker of something, real pain, in her eyes before it vanished. Just then, a mechanical voice echoed in my head. Internal voice system activated. Host's emotional state is highly volatile. Activating audio monitoring of target's internal voice. And then, clear as day, I heard Isabella's cool, collected thoughts, a stark contrast to her icy demeanor. Ethan wants a divorce. I knew this day would come. For 3 years, I've pretended not to care, but every single day has been torture. I never know how much I love him. The basement is filled with every photo I've ever secretly taken of him, all the little things he's used and discarded that I've collected. If he's really going to leave, I'd rather lock him down there than let him go. No, I can't think like that. He can't stand me. I have to let him go with dignity. My hand, gripping the pen to sign the papers, jerked. I stared at the impassive woman across the mahogany desk. Actually, I said, my own voice sounding strange. Let's hold off on the divorce for now. What? A sliver of confusion broke through the icy blue of her beautiful eyes. Her perfectly blank expression almost made me believe I'd imagined the whole thing. I took a deep breath, put the pen down, and tried to find the right words. I suddenly feel like 3 years is a long time. Maybe we should give this another shot. Another shot? Did I hear him right? Or is he just messing with me? Isabella's thoughts came through again, laced with a tremor of hope so raw, almost buckled my knees. I studied her face, still a mask of indifference, but I saw her knuckles turn white where she gripped the folder of legal documents. Ethan, are you sure you're not joking? Her voice was as crisp and cool as ever. Please don't be joking. Please. I don't think I could survive being disappointed a second time. Hearing that silent please sent a wave of complex emotions through me. For 3 years, I'd assumed Isabella, the brilliant CEO, looked down on me, the Shaw family's resident black sheep. I thought she saw me as nothing more than a lazy playboy compared to the sharks she swam with at Rossi Enterprises. Turns out, I couldn't have been more wrong. I'm sure, I said, looking her straight in the eye. Isabella was silent for a few seconds before gathering the divorce agreement from the table. He wants to stay married. Even if it's just on a whim, I have to seize this chance. Suit yourself, she said nonchalantly. But in my head, I heard a symphony of pure joy. That afternoon, I locked myself in the study, trying to process everything. For 3 years, Isabella and I had been two parallel lines, busy with our own lives, our interactions limited to the occasional corporate gala we were forced to attend together. I'd always thought that's how she wanted it. After all, our marriage was just a merger, a strategic alliance between Shaw Industries and Rossi Enterprises. Now I knew the truth. She'd been waiting for me to make the first move. Thinking about her mention of a basement full of my photos, I felt a strange curiosity. The system's voice chimed in again. New objective. Deepen your understanding of your wife's true feelings. Current marriage satisfaction, 20%. Increase this metric, mission rewards. Enhanced business acumen, increased personal charisma, and more. That evening, when Isabella got home, she found me in the kitchen. For the first time in 3 years, I was making dinner. What are you doing? She asked from the doorway, her tone dripping with surprise. Ethan is cooking? In the kitchen? He's never set foot in here before. Making dinner, I said, glancing over my shoulder. I caught a fleeting warmth in her eyes. What do you like to eat? He's asking what I like to eat. That's a first. I'll eat anything he makes, as long as he's the one who made it. Anything's fine, she said, her public face snapping back into place. I brought out 2 bowls of homemade pasta with a simple cherry tomato and basil sauce. Try this. Isabella sat down, elegantly picking up her fork and taking a bite. Honestly, the sauce is a little bland, but he made it for me. It tastes better than anything from a 5-star restaurant. It's okay, she commented, but I saw the corner of her mouth twitch into a tiny smile. By the way, she started, then hesitated. There's a big board meeting tomorrow. If you have time, I want him to come with me. I want him there, but he's never been interested in my work. Will he say yes? I'll go with you, I said, cutting her off. Isabella looked up, her surprise undisguised. You? What? You don't want me there? Of course I want you there. It's all I've ever dreamed of, having you by my side. But the old guard on the board can be brutal. I don't want him to have to deal with them. Tomorrow's meeting might get complicated. The shareholders. Don't worry, I can handle it. I interrupted. I'm your husband. It's my job to support you. Isabella looked down and continued eating, but I saw the tips of her ears turn a lovely shade of pink. He said he's my husband. He said it's his job to support me. Ethan, do you have any idea what those words mean to me? After dinner, we actually sat in the living room together and watched TV. It was a first. Usually, I'd be out with friends, and she'd be locked in her study, working. Ethan, she said suddenly. Yeah. Why did you change your mind? She turned to look at me, her eyes showing a rare vulnerability. Please tell me the truth. Even if it's just pity, I don't care. I just need to know why. I thought for a moment, deciding a version of the truth was best. Maybe I realized that I've never actually tried to get to know you. Know me? Yeah. I want to know who the real Isabella Rossi is. Her inner voice was a soft whisper. If you really want to know me, I'll show you everything. All of it. Even the secrets I've buried so deep. What do you want to know? She asked, her voice a little softer than usual. Let's start with your hobbies, I said. What do you like to do? Isabella considered it. I like to read, listen to music, and secretly follow everything you do, collect every little detail about you. But I can't say that. And what? I pressed. Photography, she finally said. I like photography. It was the first I'd ever heard of it. What kind of pictures do you take? I take pictures of you. You reading in the garden, you laughing with your friends, every unguarded expression that crosses your face. Landscapes, portraits, a little of everything, she answered vaguely. We talked late into the night. Her answers were still brief, but I could feel her trying to open up. Just before we went to our separate bedrooms, I asked, Isabella, if our marriage wasn't just a business deal, what do you think it would be like? She stopped at the foot of the stairs, her back to me, and stood there for a long time. It would be everything I've ever dreamed of. You would love me, and I would love you back without any reservations. We'd live like a real couple, with no walls between us, no misunderstandings. I don't know, she said softly, then walked quickly to her room. Watching her go, I made a decision. Fate had given me this bizarre, impossible chance to hear her heart, and I wasn't going to waste it. Tomorrow's board meeting would be the beginning of everything. The next morning, I was up and dressed in a suit before she even came downstairs. When Isabella saw me, she froze. He looks so handsome in a suit, better than any of the models in those business magazines. Her thought made me stand a little straighter. I'm coming to your meeting today. I figure I should look the part, I said, adjusting my tie. Let's go. In the car, Isabella gave me a rundown of the meeting. It's mainly about the investment strategy for a new tech venture. A few of the older board members are pushing back on my proposal, she explained, her eyes fixed on the road. It's not the proposal they have a problem with. It's me. They don't think a young woman should be in charge. If Ethan could just back me up, even just by standing next to me, it would give me so much confidence. What are their main concerns? I asked. They think the risk is too high, and also, she trailed off. And also, they think a woman isn't cut out for these kind of high-stakes decisions. They're always hinting I should find a man to help me. I wonder what they'll say now that Ethan's here. And also what? You can tell me. Isabella glanced at me. They might question my competence. Then today, I'll make them see that questioning my wife is the same as questioning me. He said I'm his wife. That feeling, I can't control my expression anymore. A real, genuine smile finally broke through Isabella's composure. When we walked into the boardroom at Rossi Enterprises, a few of the older, gray-haired shareholders looked up in surprise. Isabella, who is this? One of them, a man with glasses, asked. My husband, Ethan Shaw, she said, her voice clear and simple. She just introduced me as her husband in front of everyone, and there was a note of pride in her voice I've never heard before. Mr. Shaw, a pleasure, a few of them said, scrambling to their feet to shake my hand. I noticed their attitudes shifted instantly, becoming far more respectful. The meeting began, and Isabella laid out her investment proposal. I had to admit, she was brilliant. Her analysis was sharp, her data was solid, and her logic was flawless. But the old guard wasn't buying it. Isabella, the plan is impressive, but the risk is just too great, one of them said. Indeed. If this goes south, the company can't absorb that kind of loss, another added. I heard Isabella's silent frustration. They just don't trust my judgment. If a male CEO presented this exact same plan, they wouldn't question it for a second. It was time for me to step in. Gentlemen, I think Isabella's proposal is incredibly forward-thinking, I said, standing up and walking over to the projection screen. And as for the risks you're worried about, she's already accounted for them in her contingency planning. I pointed to a data set on the screen. The initial capital outlay is significant, yes, but you'll see substantial returns beginning in year 2. This industry is on an explosive upward trend. If we don't get in now, the cost of entry later will be astronomical. The board members exchanged glances, clearly stunned that I could speak their language so fluently. Ethan actually read my proposal, and he understood it? When did he? He's really supporting me. Mr. Shaw has a point, the man with the glasses said, breaking the silence. If he also endorses the plan, perhaps we should reconsider. The other dissenters slowly began to nod in agreement. By the end of the meeting, the proposal passed unanimously. Walking out of the boardroom, Isabella's steps seemed lighter than usual. He helped me so much today. How can I ever thank him? I'm so used to facing this all alone. It feels so good to have someone in my corner. Thank you, she said, stopping and looking at me seriously. For what? I'm your husband. There it is again. He said he's my husband, and it sounds so natural. On one condition, though, I said, pausing for effect. Her expression immediately tensed. What condition? What does he want? Is it something I can't do? You have to have lunch with me today. Just the two of us. Isabella visibly relaxed. That's it. He just wants to have lunch with me? Alone? That's not a condition. That's a gift. That's it. In 3 years, we've never once gone out to eat, just us. Okay, she agreed instantly. At noon, we went to Aria, an elegant restaurant I'd picked out. Isabella was always so busy. I knew she rarely had time for places like this. This place is nice, she said, looking around. You put a lot of thought into this. Even the music is my favorite classical station. How did he know? I thought you'd like it, I said, pulling out her chair for her. Isabella froze for a second before sitting down. He pulled out my chair. A gentleman. My heart is beating so fast. When we ordered, I noticed she kept choosing the mid-priced options. Do you not come to places like this often? I asked. I'm busy with work. I usually just eat at the office, she said simply. It's not that I'm busy. It's that coming to a place like this alone just makes you feel even more lonely. I'd rather eat takeout at my desk than be reminded of how alone I am. Her inner voice was a punch to the gut. Well, if you want, we can start coming out to eat together more often. Did he just say we can do this more often? Is he serious? Aren't you busy? She asked. A man's never too busy to take his wife to dinner, I said seriously. Isabella ducked her head, but I could see she was blushing. Just then, a few familiar faces walked into the restaurant. It was a group of my friends, and with them was my ex-girlfriend, Chloe Miller. They all looked shocked to see me sitting with Isabella. Ethan, Chloe said, walking over. What are you doing here? I felt Isabella tense up beside me. It's his ex-girlfriend. She's so much prettier than me, and so much more outgoing. Does he still have feelings for her? Having lunch with my wife, I said calmly, and I reached over and took Isabella's hand. She jumped slightly, but didn't pull away. He took my hand, and he called me his wife right in front of her. Chloe's smile faltered. You too. You look happy. We are, I said, looking right at Isabella. Right, honey? Isabella's face was practically on fire, but she nodded. He called me honey. It was probably just for show, but I'm so happy I could burst. Chloe got the hint and left, allowing us to finish our lunch in peace. Thank you for that, Isabella said quietly. For what? I was just telling the truth. The truth? Was he telling the truth when he said we're happy? Ethan, do you have any regrets? She asked suddenly. Regrets about what? Marrying me, she said, her voice barely a whisper. You could have been with someone you actually liked. Someone like Chloe. Someone who's a better fit for you. I'm just a workaholic who doesn't even know how to flirt. I put down my fork and looked at her. Isabella, I have never regretted marrying you. Really? Really? I said, pausing for a beat. My only regret is that we wasted 3 years. A look of pure disbelief flashed in her eyes. He said he regrets wasting 3 years. What was he trying to say? In that moment, I decided to go all in. Isabella, if I said I wanted to start our marriage over, for real this time, would you be willing to? The fork slipped from her grasp, clattering against the plate. Start over? Does he mean he wants a real marriage? What? What do you mean start over? She asked, her voice trembling. I mean, I want to be your real husband. Isabella didn't speak for a long time. I could hear the war raging in her mind. He wants to be my real husband. That's been my dream for 3 years. But what if this is just an impulse? What if he changes his mind and regrets it later? Do you need time to think about it? I asked gently. No, she said, looking up, her eyes filled with a resolve I'd never seen before. I'm willing. I waited too long for this moment. No matter what happens, I have to try. The atmosphere in the house that night was completely different. Before, we would have retreated to our separate wings. Tonight, we both lingered in the living room, neither of us wanting to be the first to leave. Ethan, Isabella said, breaking the comfortable silence. Yeah. If we're going to start over, shouldn't we? Get to know each other better. I want to know everything about him. What he likes, his past, his dreams. Of course. I sat down on the sofa next to her. What do you want to know? What's your dream? She asked, her expression serious. The question caught me off guard. As the heir to Shaw Industries, my life had been mapped out for me since birth. Business school, a cushy job at the company, eventually taking over the family empire. That was the plan. I've never really thought about it. I answered honestly. What about you? I want to make Rossi Enterprises a global powerhouse, she said, her eyes shining. I want to shut up everyone who thinks a woman can't run a major corporation. There's another dream, one I can't say out loud. To have a real home with you. To have our own children. Hearing that silent admission sent a jolt of warmth through my chest. Then my new dream, I said, is to help you achieve yours. Isabella just stared at me, her eyes filled with a mix of disbelief and gratitude. He wants to help me achieve my dream. This man, I'm falling so hard. Ethan, have you considered what happens if we try to have a real marriage and it still doesn't work out? I'm so scared of getting what I want only to lose it again. I couldn't bear that kind of pain. I took her hand. Then we'll work to make it work. Work? Yeah. We'll learn to understand each other, to compromise, to love, I said, pausing. Are you willing to work on it with me? He said, learn to love. Is he saying he might learn to love me? I am, she whispered, her voice firm. The next day was Saturday, and I suggested we go out somewhere. Where to, she asked. You pick. Anywhere you want to go. Anywhere I want to go. The place I want to go most is that little cafe on the bluff overlooking the river, the one with the view of the whole city at night. But I'm afraid to say it. He'll think it's childish. We could just drive around, she said. How about that cafe on the bluff in Jersey? I hear the view of the city at night is amazing. Isabella looked at me, stunned. How did you know about that place? He mentioned that exact spot. Does he like it there, too? A friend recommended it. Said it's a great place for couples, I said, making sure to emphasize the word couples. Isabella blushed again. A place for couples. Is he saying that's what we are now? That afternoon, we drove out to the cafe. Isabella was practically buzzing with a barely contained excitement. I'm finally here with him. I've come here alone a few times, and every time I just wished he was with me. The cafe was perfect. We got a table by the window. It really is beautiful here, I said, looking out at the skyline. Yes, Isabella agreed, her eyes sparkling. I love it here. I love it not just because of the view, but because you're here with me today. When the waiter came, I noticed a tasting menu for 2 on the menu. We'll have that, I said, pointing to it. Isabella glanced at the menu and didn't object. He ordered the tasting menu for 2. Is that a sign? Or am I just reading too much into it? After our coffee arrived, I noticed Isabella kept sneaking glances at me. What are you thinking about? I asked. Nothing, she said, quickly looking away. I'm thinking about how handsome you are, especially when you're being serious. And I'm thinking about how all of this feels too good to be true. Isabella, can I ask you a personal question? What is it? Have you ever been in a serious relationship? She paused, then shook her head. No. How could I have been? I've been in love with you since high school, even though you didn't know who I was back then. That revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. She liked me since high school? Why not? You're brilliant. You're beautiful. I'm sure you've had guys lining up. I never met anyone I liked, she said simply. More accurately, I met him, but he didn't like me back. And now, I asked boldly, is there anyone you like now? Isabella looked at me, her expression a mix of emotions. He's sitting right in front of me, but I can't say it. Yes, she finally whispered. Can you tell me who it is? I asked, already knowing the answer. It's you, you idiot. I can't say right now, she said, her cheeks turning the color of a ripe apple. I couldn't help but smile. All right, I'll wait until you're ready to tell me. As dusk fell, the city across the river began to light up. Isabella was leaning against the window, watching the view, and I realized how beautiful her profile was in the soft light. Ethan, look over there, she said, pointing to a sea of lights. It's beautiful, I said, but I was looking at her. He said it's beautiful. Is he talking about the view, or? I can't let myself get carried away. Isabella, I said her name. She turned to face me. I had a really good day today. Me too. This is the happiest I've been in 3 years. Me too, she said, and then she smiled. It was the most beautiful smile I had ever seen. On the drive home, a comfortable silence settled between us. As we pulled into the driveway, Isabella said, Ethan, thank you for today. Don't thank me. We'll have plenty of days like this from now on. From now on, he said from now on. Does that mean we have a future? We stayed up late again, just talking in the living room. She was much more open than the day before, and I was discovering a witty, funny side to her I never knew existed. Are you tired? She asked, noticing me stifle a yawn. A little. You should get some rest, she said, standing up. I'm heading up too. We walked up the grand staircase together and parted ways at the top of the landing. Good night, Ethan, she said softly. Good night, Isabella. I said her first name, not her full name, just her name. She stopped in her tracks, then hurried to her room without another word. He called me Isabella, not Ms. Rossi, not Isabella Rossi, just Isabella. I love the way it sounds when he says it. Lying in bed, I replayed the entire day in my mind. The system's voice chimed. Congratulations, host. Merit satisfaction has increased to 45%. Wife's affinity for host has increased significantly. Next objective, make your wife feel truly loved. It looked like my efforts were paying off, but I realized my feelings for Isabella were no longer about completing a mission. Her strength, her vulnerability, the warmth she hid beneath that icy exterior. I was falling for her. Maybe I was already in love. On Monday morning, for the first time ever, I offered to drive Isabella to work. You don't have to. I can drive myself, she said automatically. I'd love for him to drive me, but I don't want to be a bother. I insisted. Besides, it's on my way. She didn't argue. In the car, I noticed she was wearing a little more makeup than usual. Big meeting today? I asked. No, it's just, she stammered. I just wanted to look pretty for you. But that's too embarrassing to admit. Just what? I prodded. Nothing, she said, turning to look out the window. As we neared her building, my phone rang. It was my assistant. Mr. Shaw, your father wants you at the main office this morning. I hung up annoyed. Work thing? Isabella asked, a note of concern in her voice. I hope it's nothing bad. My dad wants me at the office. Probably wants to assign me some new project I don't care about. He doesn't like working for his family? I thought all heirs love that kind of life. You don't like working at the family company? She asked. It's not that I like it or dislike it. It just feels empty, I said, trying to find the right word. There's no sense of accomplishment. I know exactly how that feels. That's why I have to prove myself. You could always say no. Say no to Robert Shaw. I gave a bitter laugh. You have a higher opinion of my spine than I do. Isabella was quiet for a moment. If you wanted, you could come work for me. I stared at her shocked. What? What did I just say? Did I just offer him a job? Will he think I'm trying to take advantage of him? I mean, if you really don't want to be at Shaw Industries. Her voice trailed off. You let me work at your company? Of course I would. Then we could be together every day. But he might think I'm just using our relationship. Of course. You're incredibly capable. You proved that at the board meeting. Her words warmed me. I'll think about it, I said. When we arrived at the Rossi Enterprises Tower, I got out and opened her door for her. Mr. Shaw. A couple of her employees were walking by and looked surprised to see me. Good morning, I said with a polite nod. Isabella's face flushed slightly, but she looked pleased. He got out to open my door, and he was polite to my employees. Now, the whole company is going to know we're on good terms. I have to go, she said softly. Okay, I'll pick you up tonight. He said he'll pick me up tonight. In that case, you don't have to, I want to, I said, cutting her off. Isabella, just nodded and hurried into the building, her walk a little bouncier than usual. On the drive over to Shaw Industries, I kept thinking about her offer. Working at her company. It was a surprisingly appealing idea. In my father's penthouse office, he was waiting for me. "Ethan, you're here," Robert Shaw said, putting down a file. "Dad, you wanted to see me. Sit," he said, gesturing to the chair across from his massive desk. "I want to talk about your professional future." Here we go again, I thought. "The company is expanding into the European market. I want you to head up the project." "The European market?" "Yes. It's a vital project and a test of your abilities," he said. "Of course, it would require you to resign from all your other interests and focus solely on this." I frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means you will cease your involvement with Isabella Rossi's company." So, he already knew about the board meeting. "Dad, that wasn't a job. I was helping my wife." "Ethan, business is business. You can't let personal feelings cloud your judgment," my father said, his tone hardening. "Besides, your marriage was a business alliance, an alliance that has served its purpose." "What are you talking about?" I said, my voice rising. "I'm saying perhaps it's time for the two of you to go your separate ways." I shot to my feet. "What did you just say?" "Ethan, Isabella is an impressive woman, but she's far too ambitious. She's not a suitable wife for the Shaw family heir," he said, his eyes cold. "The miller's youngest daughter, Chloe, on the other hand. She's sweet from a good family. A much better match." And there it was. "Dad, I'm not divorcing Isabella," I said, my voice dangerously low. "Ethan, think carefully. This is about the future of this family. The family's future shouldn't be built on the back of my misery." My father's face darkened. "Are you really going to defy this family for a woman?" "Yes," I said without a shred of hesitation. "Then don't blame me for what comes next," he said coldly. "As of this moment, all of your credit cards and bank accounts are frozen. You are cut off from all Shaw family resources." I hadn't expected him to go that far. "You think that's going to make me give in?" "I'm giving you 1 week to think it over," he said. 1 week. Either you divorce Isabella Rossi, or you're out of this family for good." I took a deep breath and walked out of the office without another word. The second I stepped out of the Shaw Tower, my phone rang. It was Isabella. "Ethan, where are you?" "Just left my dad's office." "How did it go?" she asked, her voice full of concern. "I hope nothing unpleasant happened." "Not great," I said with a humorless laugh. "Isabella, can I ask you a question?" "Of course. If right now, this second, I lost everything, would you still want to be with me?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. Why is he asking that? Did something happen? It doesn't matter if he has money or not. I'd be with him no matter what. "Ethan, what's going on?" she asked, her voice urgent. "Just answer the question." "Yes," she said, without a moment's hesitation. "I would." Hearing her say that, the dark cloud over my head lifted. "In that case, is that offer to come work for you still on the table?" Is he asking because he wants to come work for me? "Of course it is," she said instantly. "Do you want to?" "Yes," I said, "but I have to start at the bottom. No special treatment because of who I am." He really wants to come work for me, and he wants to start from the bottom. This man, how could I not love him? "Done," she said, her voice bright with excitement. "Can you come to the office now? We can figure out the details." "I'm on my way." I hung up and looked back at the monolithic Shaw Tower. Instead of despair, I felt a sense of liberation. Maybe leaving the family was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Half an hour later, I was sitting in Isabella's office. "Are you sure about this?" she asked one last time. "I'm sure," I nodded, "but I have one condition." "What is it?" "Is he going to ask for special treatment?" During work hours, we maintain a professional relationship, manager and employee. Our personal life can't affect the work. Isabella looked at me, stunned for a moment, and then a slow smile spread across her face. "He's so thoughtful." "He's right. That would be better for the company." "Deal," she said. "I'll put you in the marketing department to start. You can learn the business from there." "Perfect." "Ethan," she said as I stood to leave. "Yeah. No matter what happens, I've got your back. I need him to know that with me here, he doesn't have to be afraid of anything." Looking at her serious, determined face, a wave of warmth washed over me. "Thank you, Isabella." In that moment, I knew it wasn't just falling anymore. I loved her, not just for her beauty or her brains, but for her kindness and her unwavering support. Whatever came next, we would face it together. The next day, I officially became an entry-level analyst in the marketing department of Rossi Enterprises. To avoid any accusations of nepotism, I even changed my last name, going by Ian Vance. My new colleagues only knew me as the new guy. "Ian, this is your desk," my new boss, Mark Davis, said, pointing to a standard cubicle. "Thanks, Mark," I said politely. The woman at the next desk, Sarah, glanced at me and whispered to her friend, "The new guy is cute. Wonder if he has a girlfriend." If only they knew I was married to the CEO. My first morning was spent organizing client data, which was tedious but not difficult. At lunch, I deliberately avoided Isabella and went to the employee cafeteria with my new coworkers. "So, Ian, where did you work before this?" Sarah asked from across the table. "A small boutique firm. Investment consulting." I lied smoothly. "Do you know much about our company?" "A little," I said, choosing my words carefully. "I think Ms. Rossi is an incredibly capable leader." "Oh, for sure. Ms. Rossi is a legend in this industry," Sarah said, her eyes shining with admiration. "To build a company this big at her age and be that gorgeous? It's insane. Are they talking about me?" Suddenly, Isabella's inner voice popped into my head. I looked up and saw her walking past our table with a tray of food. "Ethan seems to be fitting in well. He's getting along with his colleagues." She gave me a brief, professional glance and went to sit at an empty table on the other side of the room. "Whoa, Ms. Rossi is eating in the cafeteria today," Sarah said, shocked. "She always has lunch delivered to her office. I just wanted to see how he was doing, and maybe hear what people were saying about him." That afternoon, Mark gave me my first real assignment. Follow up with a major potential client. "This guy is tough," Mark warned me. "We've had 3 different people try to land this account, and they all failed. Give it a shot." I looked at the file. It was a large manufacturing firm in need of investment consulting. A quick look at their financials showed me the problem was cash flow management, which happened to be my specialty. I scheduled a meeting for that afternoon. "Hello, I'm Ian Vance from Rossi Capital," I said, extending my hand. The client, a man in his 50s named Mr. Chun, looked annoyed. "Another new guy? Is your company even serious about this?" "Mr. Chun, I understand your frustration," I said sincerely, "but I promise you, this time will be different." For the next hour, I laid out a detailed analysis of his company's financial situation and proposed a concrete, actionable solution. Mr. Chen's expression slowly changed from irritation to surprise, and finally, to respect. "Kid, your analysis is spot on," he said, shaking my head. "You've got the account." It was past 7 when I got back to the office. Most people had already left, but the light in Isabella's office was still on. "Ethan isn't back yet. I hope he didn't run into any trouble." I knocked on her door. "Come in." "Ms. Rossi, here is the signed contract from the Chin Corporation," I said, placing the folder on her desk. Isabella looked up at me, her eyes wide with astonishment. "You closed it?" "Yes." He closed it on his first day. The account that our veteran sales reps couldn't land. He got it. "Good work," she praised, her tone strictly professional. "Thank you, Ms. Rossi," I said, playing my part. "How did you convince him?" she asked, her curiosity getting the better of her. I gave her a brief summary of the meeting. "He really is gifted. No wonder he was so helpful at the board meeting." "Very good. Keep it up," she said with a nod. "Ms. Rossi, you should go home, too." "It's getting late," I said. "I still have some files to get through. Actually, I was just waiting for you to get back. I wanted to know how your first day went." "Well, I'm heading out," I said, turning to leave. I paused at the door. "Get some rest, Ms. Rossi." Isabella looked up, surprised, then nodded. "You too." The next day, the news of the Chin contract caused a stir in the office. "Ian, that's amazing," Sarah gushed. "Landing a huge account on your first day. Just beginner's luck," I said modestly. Mark was looking at me with newfound respect. "Ian, how would you feel about leading a project team?" Just then, Isabella's assistant appeared. "Ian, Ms. Rossi would like to see you in her office." My colleagues all stared at me with envy. Wow, summoned by the CEO on his second day. Impressive. When I got to Isabella's office, she was with a middle-aged man I didn't recognize. "Ian, I'd like you to meet Mr. Lee from Southgate Capital," Isabella said. "A pleasure, Mr. Lee," I said politely. "Mr. Lee is interested in a partnership, but he has some reservations about our proposal," she said, looking at me. I'd like you to share your thoughts. For the next half hour, I engaged in a deep discussion with Mr. Lee, addressing his concerns and highlighting the mutual benefits. By the end, he was happily signing the partnership agreement. Isabella, this young man on your team, is truly exceptional, Mr. Lee said before he left. Once he was gone, it was just the two of us. Ethan, you? She almost slipped up. Ms. Rossi, in the office. Please call me Ian, I reminded her gently. Right, I almost forgot. Good thing he reminded me. Ian, your performance has exceeded all my expectations, she said. Thank you for the opportunity, Ms. Rossi. He's so naturally gifted at this. How'd I never see it before? I'm creating a new division for strategic investments, she announced. And I want you to lead it. What do you think? Isn't that moving a little fast? I said, concerned. The others might have objections. He's so considerate. He isn't just taking the promotion for granted because of our relationship. Your abilities merit the position, she said firmly. And HR will follow the standard internal promotion process. In that case, I accept. Just then, her phone rang. Mom, she answered. What? You're coming over for dinner tonight. Oh no, Mom and Dad are coming. They have no idea that things between Ethan and I have gotten better. She hung up and looked at me, her expression complicated. My parents are coming over for dinner tonight. That's great, I said. I can finally meet my in-laws properly. He said, in-laws. It sounds so natural, but my parents have always disapproved of our marriage. They think it's just a business deal that's unfair to me. Ian, my parents can be a little. She hesitated. A little what? They might have some misconceptions about our marriage, she said carefully. They've always believed it was a purely business arrangement, and they might be a little biased against you. They're just worried about me. They think I'm trapped in a loveless marriage. Then tonight is the perfect opportunity to change their minds, I said, taking her hand. Trust me. Isabella looked down at our joined hands and blushed. He's holding my hand in the office. What if someone sees? This is your office. No one's going to barge in, I said, guessing her thoughts. How does he always know what I'm thinking? After work, we went home to get dinner ready. What do your parents like to eat? I asked. My mom prefers lighter food, and my dad likes things a little spicy. He's asking about my parents' preferences. That's so thoughtful. Then let's make a few different dishes, I said, rolling up my sleeves. You can cook, Isabella asked, surprised. A little, I grinned. Prepare to be amazed. She watched me moving around the kitchen, her eyes filled with a soft, warm light. This is it. This is the life I've always dreamed of. At 7 o'clock, Isabella's parents arrived. Her father, Michael Rossi, was a serious-looking man. Her mother, Helen, seemed warmer, but her eyes were sharp and appraising. Mom, Dad, Isabella said, hugging them. Isabella, darling, Helen said, embracing her daughter before turning her gaze to me. Ethan, it's good to see you both, I said politely. Michael just gave a curt nod, his face stern. They're being so cold to Ethan. I hope things get better tonight. Mom, Dad, have a seat. I'll get dinner ready, Isabella said. I'll help, I said, following her into the kitchen. From the living room, I could hear her parents talking in low voices. Seems just the same, hasn't changed a bit. Isabella is so brilliant. She deserves so much better than being stuck in a marriage like this. I caught Isabella's eye. She had hurt too. My parents still don't understand. They think I'm still suffering through a loveless marriage. Don't worry, I whispered. After tonight, they'll see. Half an hour later, we brought out a table laden with food. Wow, this all looks wonderful, Helen said, surprised. Ethan made it, Isabella said, a note of pride in her voice. Every dish he made, he kept my parents' taste in mind. I'm so touched. Her father took a bite, and a look of surprise crossed his face. Not bad. Thank you, sir, I said. I'd be happy to cook for you again sometime. Helen looked from me to Isabella. So, Ethan, what have you been up to lately? I'm working at Isabella's company now. I answered truthfully. What? Michael's brows furrowed. You're working for her? Oh no, Dad is going to misunderstand. Yes, sir, I explained. I wanted to build something on my own, not just rely on my family's name. And what about the Shaw family? Helen asked, concerned. I've already had it out with my father, I said. I'm taking responsibility for my own life and for my marriage. Isabella stared at me, her eyes wide. He stood up to Robert Shaw. For me? Ethan, do you think Shaw Industries will just accept that? Michael asked, his expression grave. No, I said honestly. In fact, my father has frozen all my assets and demanded that Isabella and I get a divorce. What? Helen gasped. Then you too. I refused, I said, taking Isabella's hand in mine. I'm not divorcing her, no matter the cost. Tears welled in Isabella's eyes. He's willing to go up against the entire Shaw family. For me. Her parents looked at each other, speechless. This was clearly not what they had been expecting. Ethan, are you absolutely sure about this? Michael asked seriously. You know the kind of power your family wields. I've never been more sure of anything, I said, looking at Isabella. Nothing is more important than her. Ethan, a tear rolled down Isabella's cheek. She couldn't hold it back any longer. Isabella, honey, what's wrong? Helen asked, alarmed. Mom, I'm just so happy, she said, wiping her eyes. I've waited 3 years for this. Finally, someone is willing to give up everything for me. 3 years? Michael asked, confused. Mom, Dad, there's something I have to tell you, Isabella said, taking a deep breath. I've been in love with Ethan since high school. Her parents were utterly stunned. What? Then the business merger. I only agreed to the marriage because it was him, Isabella said, her gaze fixed on me. But I thought he didn't like me. So for 3 years, I pretended I didn't care. Now I can finally tell the truth. Helen's eyes filled with tears. Oh, you silly girl. Why didn't you say something sooner? I was afraid it would put him in a difficult position, Isabella said. It was supposed to be a business deal, after all. I squeezed her hand. Isabella, I'm so sorry I let you carry that alone for so long. It doesn't matter now, she said, smiling through her tears. Look at us. Michael looked from me to her, his expression finally softening. Ethan, do you truly love my daughter? Yes, sir, I said with all the sincerity I possessed. I love her, and I would do anything for her. He said he loves me, right in front of my parents. It's the first time I've ever heard him say those 3 words. Then the Shaw family. Michael was still worried. I'll handle my family, I said. I won't let anyone hurt Isabella. Good, Michael said with a firm nod. Then we have nothing to worry about. Helen took Isabella's other hand. Honey, I am so happy for you. My parents finally understand. They see that I'm happy. The rest of the dinner was warm and lively. Her parents were full of questions, clearly delighted by the change in our relationship. Ethan, how is it working at Isabella's company? Helen asked. It's great. I think I've actually found my calling, I grinned. I even got a promotion today. Really? Michael looked at Isabella. You're not just giving him special treatment because... Dad, Ethan's talent is undeniable, Isabella cut in. He landed 2 major accounts in his first 2 days. His ability has completely blown me away. He doesn't need me to hold his hand at all. Well then, that's settled, Michael said, looking satisfied. After dinner, we all sat in the living room. Ethan, what's your plan for dealing with your family? Michael asked. I'm going to prove that I can succeed without them, I said. Once I've built something of my own, they'll have to change their minds. That won't be an easy path. I'm not afraid of hard work, I said, looking at Isabella, and I have the best support system in the world. He said I'm his best support system. That makes every struggle worth it. Good, Michael said, standing up. It's getting late. We should be going. As I walked them to the door, Helen pulled me aside. Ethan, thank you for making our daughter so happy. It's my job. You be good to her. She's a wonderful girl. I will be Helen. After her parents left, Isabella leaned her head on my shoulder. Tonight was perfect, she whispered. My family's blessing, my lover's support. I feel like the luckiest person in the world. Yes, it was, I said, kissing her forehead. Isabella, thank you. For what? For loving me. For supporting me. For giving me the courage to face anything. Isabella looked up at me, her eyes shining. Ethan, I think this is what love is supposed to feel like. Yeah, I said. I think you're right. That night, we fell asleep in each other's arms. I knew there were still challenges ahead, but as long as we were together, there was nothing we couldn't overcome. The next morning, as Isabella and I arrived at the office, we found several black sedans parked out front. What's going on? Isabella frowned. Before we could figure it out, several men in dark suits approached us. Mr. Shaw, your father would like you to come with us, one of them said respectfully. My stomach sank. My father was using force. I'm not going anywhere, I said. Mr. Shaw, please don't make this difficult for us, the man said, his tone still polite, but his stance unyielding. Isabella stepped up beside me. Who are you? Robert Shaw sent people to the office to grab Ethan? Is he trying to threaten me? Ms. Rossi, we're from Shaw Industry Security, the man explained. Mr. Shaw just wants to have a word with his son. And if I say no, I challenged. Then we'll have to follow the chairman's orders. As he spoke, more men got out of the cars, surrounding us. A crowd of employees was starting to form, whispering and pointing. We can't deal with this here, Isabella said, her voice calm and steady. Ethan, go with them. I'll be right behind you. I can't let Ethan face Robert Shaw alone. That old fox is too cunning. Isabella, trust me, she said, squeezing my hand. I won't let anything happen to you. I knew she was right. A scene here would damage the company's reputation. Fine, I said to the guards. I'll go with you. Half an hour later, I was back in my father's penthouse office. He sat behind his desk, his face like stone. Ethan, I gave you a week. It's been 2 days, and you've already gone crawling to Isabella Rossi's company. It was my choice, I said firmly. Your choice, he scoffed. Do you really think you can accomplish anything without this family? At least I can prove myself. Prove yourself. He stood and walked to the window. Ethan, you're so naive. This world will eat you alive without the Shaw name to protect you. Just then, the office doors swung open. Isabella strode in, followed by several older men I didn't recognize. Mr. Shaw, my apologies for the intrusion, Isabella said coolly. My father turned, and when he saw the men with her, his expression hardened. Mr. Davenport, what are you doing here? I realized then that these weren't just any men. They were titans of industry. Isabella brought these heavy hitters with her? What is she planning? Robert, Isabella invited us. One of the men said, We heard you had some issue with her company. You've been misinformed, my father said, his tone shifting to one of forced politeness. This is a simple family matter. A family matter? Another man chimed in. Sending security to another company's headquarters to drag someone out doesn't seem like a family matter, Robert. Isabella came to my side. Ethan, are you okay? I'm fine, I said, taking her hand. She did this for me. She brought in her most powerful allies. She's declaring to the entire business world that she stands with me. Mr. Shaw, Isabella said, turning back to my father. Ethan is an employee of my company, and he's my husband. If you have a problem, you could take it up with me directly. Isabella, this is a private family. A family matter? Mr. Sterling interrupted. Robert, Ethan is a grown man. He has the right to choose his own path. Furthermore, Ms. Rossi is a valued partner of ours. We will not stand by and watch her be treated unfairly. The other men nodded in agreement. My father's face was a mask of fury, but he was cornered. He couldn't afford to alienate these men. Gentlemen, surely you can allow me a moment to speak with my son in private? Of course, Isabella said, but Ethan has the right to refuse. All eyes turned to me. For the first time in my life, I felt truly powerful. Dad, we can talk, I said, but it will be a conversation between equals, not you dictating terms. My father stared at me for a long moment, then addressed the others. If you'll excuse us, I'll be right outside, Isabella said to me, her eyes full of encouragement. Once they were gone, my father's voice was low and dangerous. Ethan, do you have any idea what you're doing? You're going to war with your own family over a woman. I'm not going to war with the family. I'm choosing my own life, I said. Dad, I can't live by your script anymore. And what is it you want? I want to build a career on my own merits. I want to be with the woman I love. I want to live a life that's my own. My father was silent for a long time. And you think you can succeed? Without our resources, our connections, you're nothing. Then I'll start from nothing, I said, not backing down. Start from nothing? He sneered. Do you have any idea how brutal this world is? Do you think your clever little ideas can stand up to real competition? I don't know, I admitted, but I'm willing to find out. He walked over to me, his expression unreadable. Ethan, I'm your father. Everything I do is for your own good. I know, Dad, I said, looking him in the eye, but you never once asked me what I wanted. What do you want? I want freedom. I want love. I want to earn my own respect, I said, then paused. Dad, when you were my age, didn't you ever feel the same way? His face changed, as if a long-forgotten memory had surfaced. When I was your age, he sighed. That was a long time ago. Dad, give me a chance. Let me prove myself, I said earnestly. If I fail, I'll come back. I'll accept your terms. He looked at me, a battle raging in his eyes. How long? He finally asked. 1 year, I said. Give me 1 year. And if you fail? If I fail, I'll come back to Shaw Industries and do whatever you say, I said. But I will not divorce Isabella. After a long, heavy silence, he nodded. Fine. 1 year. But you are forbidden from using any Shaw family resources. I won't. One more condition, he said. For this year, you cannot use the Shaw name or identity in any business dealings. Done. There was a knock on the door, and Isabella came back in. Is it over? She asked. It's over, I said, taking her hand. Let's go home. On the way back, Isabella was quiet. What are you thinking about? I asked. I'm wondering if I went too far, she said. Bringing them in might have just made things worse between you and your father. I just wanted to protect him, but maybe I just put more pressure on him. Isabella, you did the right thing, I said, pulling the car over and turning to face her. Thank you for being on my side. Of course I'm on your side, she said. We're husband and wife. Husband and wife. We're the most important person in each other's lives. Yes, we are, I said, kissing her forehead. And I made a deal with my dad. What kind of deal? He's giving me 1 year to prove myself, I said. If I succeed, he'll stay out of our lives for good. A flicker of worry crossed her face. And if you fail? I won't fail, I said, squeezing her hand. Because I have you. Is having me enough? The business world is so competitive. 1 year. Isabella, you don't believe in me? I asked, sensing her doubt. I believe in you, she said firmly. We'll do it together. Back at the office, everyone was looking at us differently. The morning's events had clearly made the rounds. Ian, Mark said, coming over to my desk. You okay? I'm fine. Thanks for asking, Mark. Good, he said, clapping me on the shoulder. If you need anything, let us know. We're all a team here. A sense of warmth spread through me. It turned out I had support here, too. That afternoon, Isabella called me into her office. Ethan, I have an idea, she said. What is it? Since you have 1 year to prove yourself, we're going to create a new strategic investment division, and you're going to run it. This will give him the space to shine and build a track record quickly. Won't that look like blatant favoritism? I worried. What will everyone else think? We'll do it by the book. You'll have to compete for the position like anyone else, she said seriously. Ethan, I believe in your abilities. Looking at the unwavering trust in her eyes, I felt a surge of motivation. All right, I said. Challenge accepted. In 1 year, I would show everyone, my father, the world, that Ethan Shaw was more than just a name. I would prove that I could have it all, the career and the love of my life. The news of the new investment division spread like wildfire. As Isabella had planned, the company announced an internal competition to select the division head. Ian, are you going to apply? Sarah asked curiously. I am, I said with a nod. Well, good luck. I heard some of the senior VPs are going for it. Mark came over. Ian, are you sure? The competition for this is going to be fierce. I want to give it a shot, I said. Ethan is really going to compete for this on his own merits. He doesn't want any special treatment from me. Isabella's thought echoed in my head. I knew she was watching from her office. For the next week, I threw myself into preparing for the presentation. I analyzed the company's financials, researched market trends, and drafted a comprehensive strategic plan for the new division. On the day of the competition, the main conference room was packed. The candidates, the entire senior management team, and employee representatives were all present. Isabella sat at the center of the judging panel. Candidates will now present their proposals in order, the head of HR announced. The first few presenters were seasoned executives with years of experience. They were good. When it was my turn, I could feel the tension in the room spike. Good morning, everyone, I said, walking to the front of the room. My name is Ian Vance, and today I'm going to share my strategy for the new strategic investment division. For the next 20 minutes, I laid out my plan in meticulous detail, from market analysis and risk management to team building and performance targets. My goal, I concluded, looking directly at the panel, is to achieve a 25% return on investment in the first year, 30% in the second, and stabilize above 35% by year 3. A stunned silence fell over the room. Those numbers were ambitious, even for a top-tier firm. Ian, that's a very bold target, one of the VPs said. Are you confident you can achieve it? I am, I said without hesitation. I've already identified several potential projects with expected returns of over 30%. Could you be more specific? For the next 10 minutes, I detailed several investment opportunities one had researched, spanning from renewable energy and AI to biotech and advanced manufacturing. His analysis is so professional. He sounds nothing like a newcomer. Hearing Isabella's inner voice, I knew I had won them over. Thank you, Ian, the HR director said. The panel will now deliberate. Half an hour later, the decision was announced. After careful consideration, the panel has selected the new head of strategic investments, Ian Vance. The room broke into applause, though some of it was clearly reluctant. Congratulations, Ian, Mark said, shaking my hand. Honestly, I didn't think you'd pull it off. Thanks for the support, Mark. Isabella approached me, her expression professional. Ian, congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Rossi, I replied, but in her eyes I saw pure pride and love. He did it. He earned this position entirely on his own. I'm so proud of him. That evening, the company hosted a party to celebrate the new division. I was the center of attention, constantly shaking hands and accepting congratulations. Ian, you were brilliant, a colleague from finance said. Even our top analysts were impressed with your project breakdowns. Thanks. Just then, I saw Isabella standing alone in a corner, swirling a glass of wine. I should be happy to see Ethan surrounded by so many people, so why do I feel a little jealous? I made an excuse and slipped away from the crowd, walking over to her. Ms. Rossi, what are you doing all alone over here? I murmured. Just watching you work the room, she said lightly. It's quite a show. The truth is, I just wanted to talk to him for a minute, but I can't make it obvious. Want to get some air? I suggested. It's getting loud in here. She glanced around and nodded. We took the elevator to the rooftop terrace. The night air was cool and refreshing. Ethan, you were incredible today, she said, her voice softer now. You're the one who gave me the chance. No, she shook her head. That was all you. To be honest, even I was blown away by how professional your plan was. He's really making me see him in a new light. Maybe he actually can prove himself in a year. Isabella, can I ask you something? I said, looking at her. What is it? If I really succeed at this, will you be proud of me? She paused, then nodded. Of course I will. I'm already proud of you. Whether you succeed or fail, you're the best in my eyes. And what if I fail? You won't, she said firmly. And even if you did, I'd be right here with you. I couldn't help it. I pulled her into my arms and held her tight. Isabella, I'm so glad I have you. He's hugging me at the office. What if someone sees? No one's up here, I whispered. How do you always know what I'm thinking? She murmured in my chest. Because I know you, I said, kissing the top of her head. Just like you know me. The next day, I started my new role. Isabella assigned me 3 of the company's brightest young analysts. Mr. Vance, here are the project files you requested, my new assistant Leo said. Thanks, I said. And please call me Ian. Right, Ian. I quickly learned that being a manager was a whole different ballgame. I wasn't just analyzing projects, I was managing a team, handling logistics, and putting out fires. Our first big investment was a $2 million stake in a renewable energy startup. My analysis showed it had massive potential, but it was also risky. Ian, are you sure about this one? Leo asked, looking worried. $2 million is a lot of capital. I'm sure, I said, tapping the prospectus. Their technology is revolutionary, and the management team is solid. Just then, Isabella walked into my office. Ian, I hear you're looking at an energy startup? Yes, I said, handing her my analysis. Take a look. She read through the report, a slight frown on her face. This project does have potential, but the risk is huge. Is it too much of a gamble for the division's very first investment? Ian, she said, catching herself. The risk profile on this is quite high. Have you considered all the angles? I have, I said firmly. High risk, high reward. That's what this division is for. Isabella thought for a moment, then nodded. All right, I support your decision, but make sure your risk mitigation is airtight. I trust his judgment, but I'm still a little worried. Don't worry, I've got it under control. For the next month, I lived and breathed that project. I flew out for site visits, audited their financials, and had their technology vetted by third-party experts. Finally, the deal was signed. Mr. Vance, thank you for believing in us, the startup CEO said, shaking my hand vigorously. My pleasure. Here's to a successful partnership. When I got back to the office, Isabella was waiting for me. The deal is done, she asked. It's done, I said, slumping into my chair. I was exhausted. For the past month, I'd been working until midnight almost every night. He looked so tired. He's lost weight. Ethan, you've been working too hard, she said, her voice filled with concern. Why don't you go home and rest? I still have a few things to wrap up, I said, rubbing my temples. Isabella came up behind me and began gently massaging my shoulders. Relax, she said softly. You've done great. Seeing him work this hard makes me feel so proud, but it also breaks my heart. Isabella, do you think I can really do this? I asked, leaning back in her touch. Of course you can, she said without hesitation. You're more brilliant than you know. Just then, Leo burst into the office, out of breath. Ian, we have a problem. What is it? I sat up straight. I just had a call. There's been an incident at the energy startup we just invested in. My heart sank. What kind of incident? Their lead engineer was just poached by a competitor. Their core technology might have been compromised. Isabella's face grew serious. For this to happen on his very first project, the pressure on Ethan must be immense. Get their CEO on the phone. I need a full report now, I said calmly. For the next few hours, I was on the phone, gathering information. The situation was worse than I thought. Not only was their tech at risk, but their funding pipeline was also in jeopardy. Ian, what do we do? Leo asked, his face pale. I stared at the documents on my desk, my mind racing. Get our legal team on the line. I want to know our options for recourse, I said. At the same time, start reaching out to our contacts in the tech sector. We need to find them a new technical partner. Isabella stood by, silently listening. His ability to manage a crisis is even better than I expected. He's calm, methodical. It was 10 o'clock by the time I had handled the immediate fallout. That's all for tonight, I told Leo. We'll follow up in the morning. After he left, it was just me and Isabella. Ethan, are you okay? She asked softly. I'm fine, I said, forcing a smile. Just a little tired. He must be under so much pressure. For his first project to go sideways like this. This kind of thing happens, she said comfortingly. Investing is always a risk. No one has a perfect track record. I know, I nodded, but it was the first one. If it fails, it won't fail, she cut me off. And even if there are problems with this project, you have others. I need to find a way to help him get through this. Isabella, thank you, I said, taking her hand. With you here, I feel like I can handle anything. The next morning, I got some good news. Our lawyers had found a legal angle to pursue, and a European tech firm I had contacted was interested in a partnership. Really? Leo asked, his eyes wide. Yes. The immediate crisis is over, I said, breathing a sigh of relief. Over the next few days, things started turning around. Not only did we solve the technology issue, but the startup also secured a major government grant. Ian, you're a genius, Leo said, full of admiration. You turned a complete disaster into a win. It was just good luck, I said modestly, but I knew it was more than that. The crisis had taught me more than any business school class could have. A month later, the project's first quarterly report came in. Our return on investment was 35%, far exceeding my initial projections. Ian, congratulations. Mark said, coming by to congratulate me. To pull that off on your first project is incredible. Thanks, Mark. The news spread through the company, and the new investment division earned a new level of respect. After work, Isabella called me to her office. Ethan, I'm so proud of you, she said sincerely. He actually did it. He turned it around and delivered an amazing return. This is just the beginning, I said. There are more challenges ahead. I know you can handle them, she said, standing and walking over to me. Ethan, you've changed. I have. You're more confident now. More mature, she said, gently touching my cheek. I like this version of you. He has this new kind of charisma he never had before. The charisma of a successful man. So you didn't like the old me? I teased. I like the old you too, she said, blushing. But I like this you more. I pulled her onto my lap. Isabella, I love you. I love you too, she said, and then she leaned in and kissed me. Just then, the office door swung open. Ms. Rossi, there's an urgent. Her assistant walked in and froze, staring at us. Isabella jumped up, her face turning a brilliant shade of crimson. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were in a meeting, the assistant stammered. It's fine, I said calmly. What's the emergency? The assistant glanced between us, a look of understanding dawning on her face. It's not that urgent. I can come back later. She backed out of the room and shut the door. We're done for. Everyone's going to find out, Isabella said, mortified. What are people at the office going to say about us? It's okay, I said, pulling her back into a hug. They were bound to find out sooner or later. But, Isabella, we're a legally married couple. We have nothing to be ashamed of, I said, taking her hand. And I've already proven I can do this job. No one can say I'm here because of you. She thought about it and seemed to relax. He's right. He's already proven himself with his own abilities. We have nothing to hide. The next day, our relationship was the talk of the office. But the reaction was better than I expected. Most people were happy for us. So Ian is actually Ms. Rossi's husband, Sarah said in awe. No wonder he's so brilliant. But he definitely earned his position, another colleague added. A 35% ROI isn't something you get through connections. I realized that if you have enough talent, the whispers and doubts fade away. It gave me even more confidence for the future. There were still 10 months left on my one-year deal with my father. And I knew, without a doubt, that I was going to win. 3 months later, the investment division had 5 successful projects under its belt, with an average ROI of 32%. That kind of performance was turning heads in the financial world. Ian, the Wall Street Journal wants to do an interview with you, Leo said, holding a printout. An interview with me? I was surprised. Yeah, they want to do a feature on the rising stars of the investment world. I looked at the request. It was for a major feature piece. You should do it, Isabella said, walking in. It's a great opportunity to build your public profile. Ethan is already making a name for himself in the industry. Some good press could really accelerate his career. You think it's a good idea? I asked. Of course, she said, taking a seat. It's time the world saw what you can do. A week later, I was sitting down with a reporter from the Journal. Mr. Vance, you've achieved incredible results in just a few short months. What's your secret? She asked. No secret. Just hard work, I said. I do my due diligence on every project. I don't follow trends, and I don't chase quick profits. We understand you're relatively new to the investment world. What drew you to this field? The challenge and the sense of accomplishment, I said. I enjoy creating value through analysis and judgment. What qualities do you think a successful investor needs? Expertise, a level head, and patience, I said. Investing isn't gambling. It requires rational thinking and a long-term perspective. The interview lasted an hour. Mr. Vance, one last question, the reporter said. What is your ultimate goal? To make my mark in the world of finance, I said, and to prove that you don't need a famous last name to build your own success. The article came out the following week. It was a massive hit. The headline read, The New Wolf of Wall Street, Ian Vance and the Art of the Deal. Ian, you're famous, Leo shouted, waving a copy of the paper. So I see, I said with a smile. He's a star now. My star. I'm so proud of him. Isabella's thought was full of joy. She'd clearly seen the article. Over the next few days, my phone was ringing off the hook. Investment firms and startups were all clamoring for a meeting. Mr. Vance, these are the partnership offers that came in today, my assistant said, handing me a thick stack of folders. There had to be at least 20 of them. Looks like we're going to be busy, I said to my team. Just then, my personal cell rang. It was an unknown number. Hello, is this Mr. Ian Vance? A man's voice asked. Speaking. My name is Arthur Chun, president of BlackRock Capital. I'd like to discuss a potential partnership with you. BlackRock Capital was one of the biggest players in the game. Getting their attention was a major coup. Of course, when would be a good time? This afternoon, if you're free. At 3 o'clock, I was sitting in the opulent headquarters of BlackRock Capital. Arthur Chun was a sharp, shrewd-looking man in his 50s. Mr. Vance, it's a pleasure to finally meet you, he said, shaking my hand warmly. The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Chun. Please sit, he said, gesturing to a plush sofa. I've asked you here today to discuss a very special project. What kind of project? It's an AI venture. The initial investment will be $1 billion, he said. I felt a jolt. $1 billion project? was in a whole different league. There's one condition, however, Chun continued. We want you to join BlackRock Capital as our new chief investment officer. The offer was stunning. Mr. Chun, I'm very happy at Rossi Capital. I know, he cut me off, but Mr. Vance, BlackRock can offer you a much bigger stage. Far more resources. He slid a contract across the table. A salary of $10 million a year, plus a percentage of all profits. Think about it. $10 million a year. It was a tempting offer, but then I thought of Isabella and the promise I had made to her. Mr. Chun, your offer is very generous, I said, but I'll need some time to consider it. Of course. Take a week, he said. But Mr. Vance, opportunities like this don't come along every day. I hope you'll choose wisely. I spent the rest of the day in a daze. Logically, joining BlackRock was the smart move. But emotionally, the thought of leaving Isabella's company felt wrong. What's on your mind? Isabella asked, walking into my office that evening. Nothing, I said, not wanting to worry her. He seems distracted. Did something happen? Ethan, you can talk to me, she said, sitting across from me. I hesitated, then told her everything. She listened in silence, her expression unreadable. BlackRock Capital. They're the best in the business. If Ethan went there, his career would skyrocket. What are you going to do? She asked, her voice calm. I don't know yet, I said honestly. Ethan, logically, you should take the offer, she said. It's a better opportunity. I can't bear the thought of him leaving, but I can't let my own selfishness hold back his future. Do you want me to go? I asked. She looked at me, her eyes a swirling mix of emotions. I want you to do what's best for you, she said finally. That night, a heavy silence hung between us. The next morning, I made my decision. I called Arthur Chun. Mr. Chun, thank you for the generous offer, but I've decided to stay where I am. Why? He asked, clearly surprised. Is the compensation not enough? We can negotiate. It's not about the money, I said. I have a responsibility and a commitment to my current company. Mr. Vance, I urge you to reconsider. My mind is made up. I hung up and let out a long breath. I may have just turned down the opportunity of a lifetime, but I didn't regret it. Some things were more important than money and prestige. Ethan, Isabella was standing in my doorway. Yeah. You turned down BlackRock? He turned down such an amazing offer. Was it because of me? I did. I nodded. Why? She asked, walking towards me. Because I feel like what I'm doing now has more meaning, I said, looking her in the eye. And besides, I'm kind of attached to the CEO. Tears welled in Isabella's eyes. He gave up that opportunity for me. How can I ever repay him? Ethan, are you going to regret this? She asked, her voice thick with emotion. Never, I said, taking her hand, because I have something far more valuable right here. What's that? Your love, and the empire we're building together. She fell into my arms, sobbing. Ethan, I love you, she cried. I love you too, I said, stroking her hair. Isabella, together, we're going to build a company that makes BlackRock Capital look small. Can we really do that? She asked, looking up at me. As long as we're together, I said firmly, we can do anything. In that moment, I knew I had made the right choice. I wanted it all, the love and the career, and I knew that with Isabella, I could have both. There were still 7 months left on my deal with my father, and I was going to build an empire of my own. The news that I had turned down BlackRock spread through the industry. Some called me a fool. Others said I had integrity. I didn't care what they said. Ian, everyone is talking about you, Leo said excitedly. They're saying you're a man of principle. Is that so? I smiled. And there's more good news, he said, handing me a letter. The Global Investors Guild has invited you to speak at their annual summit in Toronto next month. This was huge. The GIG Summit was one of the most prestigious conferences in the world. Getting an invitation meant I had earned international recognition. I'll be there, I said. Just then, Isabella's assistant came in. Mr. Vance, Ms. Rossi would like to see you in the main conference room. When I walked in, Isabella was there with several older men I didn't recognize. Ethan, I'd like to introduce you to the board of the North American Investors Alliance, Isabella said. The NAIA was the most powerful investment organization on the continent. Mr. Vance, a pleasure. One of the men, a distinguished older gentleman, said. I'm the chairman, David Chun. Mr. Chairman, the pleasure is all mine. Mr. Vance, we're here today to formally invite you to join the Alliance, the chairman said, as a member of our executive board. I was floored. The board was made up of the most elite investors in the world. The youngest member was in his late 40s. At 28, this was an unheard of honor. Gentlemen, thank you for the honor, I said, but I'm not sure I'm qualified. Not qualified? Another board member chuckled. Mr. Vance, the ROI you've generated in the last few months is something most of us can only dream of. And your decision to turn down BlackRock was very admirable, the chairman added. In this day and age, it's rare to see a young man with such strong principles. They're asking Ethan to join the Alliance. This is an incredible honor. Isabella's thought was full of pride and excitement. Gentlemen, I would be honored to accept your invitation, I said. Excellent, the chairman said. Then allow us to be the first to welcome you to the board. The ceremony was brief, but its significance was immense. As of today, I was the youngest board member in the history of the North American Investors Alliance. Mr. Vance, we will make a formal announcement at the summit next month, the chairman said. The entire financial world will know of your achievements. After they left, it was just me and Isabella. Ethan, I am so proud of you, she said, throwing her arms around me. He's on the board of the NAIA. I never could have imagined this level of success for him. It's all because of you, I whispered in her ear. No, this was all your hard work, she said, looking up at me. Ethan, you are truly amazing. That night, we celebrated at home. Isabella cooked a spectacular meal. A toast to the new board member, she said, raising her glass. And a toast to the beautiful CEO who made it all possible, I said, clinking my glass against hers. Board member and CEO. It has a nice ring to it. After a few glasses of wine, Isabella was more talkative than usual. Ethan, when I saw the way those board members looked at you today, I felt so proud. Proud? Yes. They were all talking about how you were a genius, the future of the industry, she said, a little tipsy. And all I wanted to do was shout, "That's my husband." I didn't say it, of course, but I was thinking it. Why didn't you? I teased. I didn't want you to think I was showing off, she said, blushing. Silly, I said, caressing her cheek. I want the whole world to know you're my wife. Isabella looked at me, her eyes soft and full of love. Ethan, when can we have a baby? She asked suddenly. The question caught me off guard. You want to have a baby? I do, she nodded. I want a baby who's as smart as you are. The truth is, I wanted one for a long time, but I was afraid to ask. Now that things are so good between us, maybe it's time. Then we'll have one, I said. But let's wait until my deal with my dad is done. How much longer? 6.5 months, I said. Then I'll be free. I'll wait for you, she said, leaning her head on my shoulder. Ethan, do you think it will be a boy or a girl? Either would be perfect, I said, wrapping my arm around her. If it's a boy, I'll teach him business. If it's a girl, I'll teach her to be strong. If it's a girl, I hope she's as brave as you are, she said. As brave as Ethan, willing to give up everything for love. And if it's a boy, then I hope he's as smart as me, she said with a grin. We talked about the future late into the night. The next morning was a lazy Saturday. We slept in until 10. Ethan, look, Isabella said, showing me her phone. It was a news alert. 28-year-old investment prodigy Ian Vance becomes youngest board member in NAIA history. The article already had over 1 million views. Looks like you're a bona fide celebrity, she said. We are, I corrected her, because soon everyone will know that I'm the head of investments at Rossi Capital. Yes, we are. Ethan's success is our company's success. Just then my phone rang. It was my father. I hesitated, then answered. Dad. Ethan, I saw the news, he said, his voice a strange mix of emotions. You've done well. It was the first time he had ever praised me. Thanks, I said. Ethan, I like to talk, he said. This afternoon, the usual place. The usual place was our family's private club, a place he used to take me as a kid. Okay, I agreed. After I hung up, Isabella asked, what did your dad want? I don't know, but it didn't sound bad, I said. His tone was different. Maybe Robert Shaw has finally accepted Ethan's abilities. That afternoon, I met my father at the club. He was already there, waiting. Ethan, sit, he said, his demeanor much softer than before. Dad, what's this about? I wanted to apologize for my past actions, he said. I was wrong to treat you that way. I was stunned. Robert Shaw did not apologize. especially not to me. Dad, let me finish, he said. Ethan, your performance these last few months has been nothing short of remarkable. I'm beginning to think that perhaps your way is the right way. After all, is he finally admitting I was right? So, I want to retract my previous ultimatum, he said. The doors of this family will always be open to you, but I will no longer force you to come back. Thank you for understanding, I said. There's one more thing, he said, sliding a folder across the table. These are the Shaw family's shares in Rossi Capital. I'm transferring them to you. I opened the folder. Shaw Industries held a 15% stake in Isabella's company. Those shares are worth over $300 million, he said. Consider it an investment in you. This was a huge gesture. Dad, I can't accept this. You can, and you will, he said. I have no doubt you'll make them even more valuable. Robert Shaw is showing his support and trust in Ethan. Then I accept, I said. Ethan, I have one last request, my father said. What is it? Bring Isabella home for dinner. It's time I got to know our daughter-in-law properly. I was moved. Okay, Dad, I'll call her right now. That night, Isabella and I went to the Shaw family mansion for dinner. The atmosphere was warmer than I could have ever imagined. Isabella, welcome home, my mother said, taking her hands. They're finally accepting me. It feels so good. It's good to see you both, Isabella said politely. We're all family now, my father said. Isabella, we were wrong before. I hope you can forgive us. Of course, she said. I understand. The dinner was wonderful. We talked about things we never could have before. So, when are you two going to give me a grandchild? My mother asked suddenly. Isabella's face turned bright red. They're asking about a baby. What do I say? Once our careers are a little more stable, I said. Well, don't wait too long, my mother said with a smile. I'm getting impatient. A grandchild. It sounds so wonderful. On the drive home, Isabella was quiet. What are you thinking about? I asked. I'm thinking that this all feels like a dream, she said. A few months ago, we were signing divorce papers, and now, we're a real family, I said, taking her hand. Isabella, do you have any regrets? None, she said firmly. This is the best decision I've ever made. Being with Ethan is the greatest happiness I've ever known. Me too, I said, kissing her hand. Isabella, our story is just getting started. With 3 months left in my 1-year deal with my father, I received an invitation that would change everything. Ethan, a venture capital firm in Silicon Valley, wants you to be the keynote speaker at their annual summit. Leo burst in my office, waving an invitation. I took the letter. This was one of the biggest tech investment conferences in the world. Not just attend, but give the keynote, Leo added. The topic is opportunities and challenges in emerging Asian markets. To be the keynote speaker at a Silicon Valley summit was a massive honor. When is it? I asked. Next month. It's a 3-day event. The timing was perfect. This was my chance to make a final, undeniable statement. I'll do it, I said. Awesome. Leo was ecstatic. The whole world is going to know your name now. Just then, Isabella walked in. What's all the excitement about? I handed her the invitation. Her eyes widened as she read it, and then they filled with pride. A keynote at the Silicon Valley Summit. That's one of the highest honors in the global investment community. Ethan, this is incredible, she said. Will you come with me? I asked. Isabella was taken aback. Me? Yes, as my wife and as the CEO of Rossi Capital. I said seriously, I want the world to see that we're partners in everything. He wants me to go with him to Silicon Valley. What does that mean? But the company, the VPs can handle things for a few days, I said. Isabella, this is our moment, isn't it? She thought for a moment, then a slow, beautiful smile spread across her face. Yes, she said, I'll come with you. For the next few weeks, I was completely immersed in preparing for the speech. This wasn't just about my reputation. It was about representing the future of Asian investment on a global stage. Ethan, I read your speech. It's brilliant, Isabella said, holding the draft. But I think you could strengthen it with some more concrete examples. What do you have in mind? Use some of our company's success stories, she said. The data will make your argument more compelling. His speech is already great, but adding real-world examples will take it to the next level. We worked on the speech together late into the night. Tired? I asked, watching her meticulously edit a paragraph. Not at all, she said, looking up at me. I love doing this with you. This feeling of being partners, of fighting in the trenches together. It's the best feeling in the world. A month later, we landed in California. The summit was even bigger than I had imagined, a gathering of the most powerful investors from around the globe. Mr. Vance, welcome to Silicon Valley. The summit's chairman, a man named Mr. Johnson, greeted us. Thank you for the invitation, I said in fluent English. This is my wife, Isabella Rossi, CEO of Rossi Capital. I introduced her. A pleasure to meet you, Ms. Rossi, Johnson said, shaking her hand. I've heard great things about your company's recent successes. They know about our company here. Our influence is becoming global. The first night was a welcome dinner where I met people I had only ever read about in magazines. Mr. Vance, a pleasure to finally meet you, a familiar voice said. I turned around to see the legendary Wall Street investor, Robert Miller. Mr. Miller, the honor is all mine, I said, shaking his hand. I've read your market analyses. Brilliant stuff, he said. Your insights on the AI sector were particularly impressive. To be recognized by a titan like him was surreal. You're too kind, sir. Not at all. You have a real gift, he said. If you're ever interested, my fund would be open to a collaboration. This was an incredible opportunity. Miller's fund managed over $100 billion. I would be very interested, I said. Ethan is getting recognition from a Wall Street legend. That's more valuable than any award. The next day was my keynote speech. The auditorium was packed. I could feel thousands of eyes on me. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I began, my heart pounding with a mix of nerves and excitement. Today, I want to talk about the opportunities and challenges in Asia's emerging investment markets. For the next 40 minutes, I laid out my vision for the future of the global economy, backed by hard data and the success stories Isabella had helped me integrate. In conclusion, I said, Asia is not just a market. It is the future. The room erupted in applause. An excellent presentation, Johnson said, coming on stage. We'll now open the floor for questions. For the next 20 minutes, I fielded questions on everything from geopolitical risk to cryptocurrency. Mr. Vance, what is your 5-year forecast for the Asian market? Someone asked. I believe that within 5 years, Asia will be the largest investment market in the world, I said confidently. And companies like ours will be at the forefront of that transformation. Ethan's performance is flawless. He's handling every question with such expertise. After the speech, I was mobbed by people wanting to exchange business cards. Mr. Vance, your speech was truly inspiring. An investor from Europe said, I would love to discuss potential collaborations. Of course, here's my card. Back at the hotel, Isabella and I were both buzzing with adrenaline. Ethan, you were absolutely masterful today, she said, her eyes shining. You had the entire room captivated. Seeing him on that global stage, so confident and brilliant. That's my husband. It was a team effort, I said, pulling her into a hug. Isabella, do you know how many international firms want to partner with us now? At least a dozen. Really? Really, I said, showing her a stack of business cards. These are some of the biggest names in the world. Isabella looked at the cards, her expression one of awe. These are the firms we used to look up to, and now they won't work with us. Ethan, what does this mean? She asked. It means we're going global, I said. It means we're about to become a major international player. At the closing ceremony on the third day, I was presented with the Emerging Global Investor of the Year award. It was the first time in the summit's history that the award had been given to an investor from Asia. This award goes to someone who has not only achieved remarkable success, but who represents the future of the global investment community, Johnson announced. Mr. Ian Vance. As I walked onto the stage to a standing ovation, I accepted the award. Thank you, I said. This honor belongs not just to me, but to all the innovators and hard workers who are building the future in Asia. We're just getting started. He's received international acclaim. This is our greatest success yet. On the flight home, we were still riding the high. Ethan, do you realize what this trip means for us? Isabella asked. It means we did it, I said. We didn't just succeed at home. We succeeded on the world stage. Yes, we did, she said, taking my hand. Ethan, I am so proud of you and so proud of us. This past year, I've watched him grow from a directionless heir to a globally recognized financial expert. The feeling is indescribable. Isabella, my year-long deal with my dad is almost up, I said. I think I've proven my point. You've done more than that, she said. You've surpassed everyone's wildest expectations. As the plane began its descent, I saw the familiar lights of the city below. A year ago, I was lost. Now I'd found my purpose, and I knew that none of it would have been possible without the woman sitting beside me. Isabella, I said. Thank you for sticking with me. Silly, she smiled. We're husband and wife. Of course I would. It's not just that I would. It's that I wanted to. Ethan, I will always be with you. The day after we got back, my father called. Ethan, I saw the news from Silicon Valley, he said, his voice thick with pride. Your performance was astounding. Thanks, Dad. Ethan, I want to end our 1-year deal early, he said. You've already exceeded every expectation I ever had for you. And I have a proposal. What is it? I want Shaw Industries and Rossi Capital to enter into a strategic partnership, to take on the global market together. It was a brilliant idea. Shaw Industries had the capital and the global network. We had the expertise and the agility. That's an interesting proposal, I said, but I'll need to discuss it with Isabella. Of course. I've already drafted a preliminary plan, he said. Come for dinner tonight. We'll discuss it. I told Isabella the news. A strategic partnership, she said, considering it. It's a massive opportunity. The power of Shaw Industries is immense. A partnership could accelerate our growth exponentially. What are you worried about? I asked, sensing her hesitation. I'm worried about maintaining our company's independence, she said honestly. Shaw Industries is a giant. I don't want to get swallowed up. We won't, I said, taking her hand. I'll make sure it's a partnership of equals. That night, at the Shaw Mansion, my father laid out his plan. Shaw Industries will provide the capital and the network, he said. Rossi Capital will provide the expertise and the management. And the structure? Isabella asked. We'll form a new joint venture. Shaw will hold a 60% stake. Rossi will hold 40%, my father said. But operational control will be entirely in the hands of Rossi Capital. This was more than fair. He was giving us the keys to the kingdom. Ethan will be the CEO of the new venture, he continued. And Isabella will be the COO. The structure is fair. This really is an opportunity. I think this is a workable plan, Isabella said. But I have one condition. What is it? Major decisions must require unanimous board approval, she said firmly. We will not be outvoted simply because of the equity split. My father considered it, then nodded. Agreed. Then we have a deal, I said. The signing ceremony was a major media event. This partnership marks a new era for our two companies, my father announced. Together, we will achieve even greater heights. We believe that this collaboration will bring new energy and innovation to the global market, Isabella added. Afterward, we were swarmed by reporters. Mr. Vance, how do you see this partnership unfolding? One asked. This is a true win-win, I said. We will leverage our combined strengths to become a global leader. Ms. Rossi, what are your hopes for the new venture? I expect us to become the most successful international investment firm in Asia, she said, her voice full of confidence. This partnership is the start of a new chapter for us. That night, we threw a huge celebration. To Mr. Vance, Mark toasted me. Thanks, Mark, for everything. You're an international superstar now, Leo said, beaming. We're all so proud of you. Looking at all the people who had supported me, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. To all of you, I said, raising my glass. Thank you for believing in me. I couldn't have done it without you. Cheers, the room shouted. Later, I pulled Isabella out onto the balcony. What are you thinking about? She asked. About this past year, I said, looking out at the glittering city. A year ago, we were about to get a divorce. I know, she said, leaning her head on my shoulder. Who could have imagined this? This past year, we've gone from a marriage of convenience to a true partnership, from strangers to soulmates. Isabella, if you could do it all over again, would you still choose me? I asked. In a heartbeat, she said without hesitation. Ethan, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Not just the best thing, the happiest thing. Me too, I said, kissing her forehead. Isabella, I love you. I love you too, she said, looking up at me. Ethan, is this just the beginning of our story? Absolutely, I said, and it's only going to get better. Just then, I heard a faint chime in my head. Congratulations, host. All objectives have been completed. Marriage satisfaction, 100%. You have successfully transformed your marriage of convenience into a true partnership of love. System mission complete. Powering down. May you and your wife live happily ever after. And then silence. The system was gone, but it didn't matter anymore. We didn't need it. We had learned to hear each other's hearts without any help. Ethan, what are you thinking? Isabella asked, noticing my faraway look. I was thinking about our future, I said. Isabella, remember when you asked about having a baby? I remember, she said, blushing. What about it? I think it's time, I said seriously. Our company is stable. Our family is happy. Isabella looked at me, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything, I said, pulling her close. I want a child with you. I want a real family. Then let's have one, she said, hugging me tightly. Oh, Ethan, I'm so happy. From the party inside, we could hear the sounds of laughter and celebration. A year ago, we were two strangers bound by contract. Now, we were partners in every sense of the word, about to start a family of our own. Our story had been more incredible than any novel, and it was a story we had written ourselves together. End.